Week 6 CFL betting blueprint. Welcome in Wagertalk TV. Andrew, Terry, and Bobby with you guys. And let's talk week 6 in the CFL. We've got 4 games to break down. We've got Thursday, Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Just the way I personally like it as far as the CFL schedule is concerned. 2-1 week for me in week 5. And the loss, although it wasn't looking very good as it was, guys, I'll say a player prop. If you have an over and the player gets hurt, well, you have no chance to win that one. Zach Collaros passing prop over goes down the drain, but that's all right. We'll move forward and we'll take the winning week and move on. Let's go around the horn. Thoughts on week 5. You know, Terry, I'll start with you. You said this when we were chatting backstage. QB injuries, we get 2, and they were in the last game, both of them, obviously, in the last game of the week. Now the handicapping begins. You know, we were seeing overs, we were seeing points, and we were all saying quarterback play was at an all-time high, it felt like, for the CFL. That's obviously the main storyline of this week, but overall, your thoughts on week 5?
Yeah, quarterback injuries in the CFL really matter. Like, they really, really matter. And we haven't seen many at all this year until, of course, now. And last few seasons, we've seen it where quarterbacks have gone down. And it can completely derail a team's season. And not going to overreact to what happened last week. But we saw some unders last week. We still saw some overs. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens this week. Obviously, the 58-36 game between Calgary and Toronto, and then you've got 14-13 in the final game of the week. So first losing week for me of the season. It's going to happen, but looking to bounce back here this week and get back on the winning track.
All right. Well, 4 games to do so. It's a long season. You've been having a great one there. Bobby, big play VA. How about him putting up 50-plus points for Calgary? Some injuries there, but I'll be your hype man. You had it in you to get the ugly play of the season with the Redblacks, and I did tweet this out, channel my inner Teddy Covers on this one. If you liked the favorite, you got to have the 4.5. If you liked the dog, you got to have the 5.5. So both players probably should have won if they were involved in that game. And shout out to our buddy Ian Cameron, because he had the other side and you had the dog, and you guys were both victorious. But your thoughts on week 5, man?
Yeah, and in spite of Ryan Dinwiddie's best efforts to kind of basically refuse to win that game, I think the Redblacks, they were in field goal range with a minute left, right? And they couldn't close it out. So just disgusting stuff from Ottawa again. We'll get into them more when we talk about them. But the big story for me, and I did a recap right after the game ended, is the power rankings. If you're watching Wagertalk, you probably have an idea what power rankings are used for. But the CFL is a bit different. Everybody in the media has no idea what they're for. They just basically look at standings, who beat who, we upgrade, downgrade. So it was a big loss. If any of them were actually using power rankings for what they're used for, they would have got killed on that BC Lions, the 8th, 9th team in the league, beating number 1 Edmonton. So in reality, Edmonton's an average team. BC is not very good. It's not a huge upset. Edmonton was favored by 1, but just more stuff. Professionals only betting on the Redblacks. Professionals only saying the word power rankings.
Yeah, well, you know, these CFL writers, it's power standings. It's not power rankings. They literally just list the standings and then they call them their power rankings. It's like, oh, this team had a bad week. Let's drop them 5 slots in the rankings. But guys, look, I'm just going to say this, and we're going to get into it, because at the end of the day, you know, the old expression of bet numbers, not teams, you know, to what Terry said, like, the fact of the matter is, I think more than any football league, the drop off, and I tweeted this, someone actually tried to rebuttal me, but the drop off from QB1 to QB2 in this league is bigger than any other, you know, and we've seen this for years. And I think the 3 of us are on the same page with that. We don't really know how we feel point spread wise, and I'll talk to the guys about that in a couple minutes here. But you know, if you don't believe me, just ask the odds makers, because they're doing their best to adjust, and I think they might still not know how much they have to adjust by. So we'll try and break down the lines. But, it's tough to see Bo Levi go down, having a fantastic season. The guy's had a ton of success in the league, leading his team. People are calling it one of the most talented offensive cores, and they go down. So that's tough. And of course, Zach Collaros, Winnipeg already wasn't looking very good. And then they have a tough one. I was happy to get that winner with Calgary, though. Calgary 50, or what was it? Not 50 points, but 58 points. So, was really happy with that one. And then I had the Lions, 36 points. They shut down Justin Rankin, which I was happy because they were number 1 this year against the run, number 1 last year against the run. And then I lost to Zach Collaros one. But we're going to find out, guys, how these point spread changes affect things. Let's not waste any more time. Redblacks, Elks, first game of the week, Thursday night football. Bobby here, I have this one. Look ahead number as far as this is concerned. 57.5 is the total, has now moved to 58.5. And I saw opening was 5.5 as far as the spread is concerned, now at 6.5 at some books. How do you approach this one here? Redblacks on the road in Edmonton.
Like we just mentioned, the Redblacks should have got their first win. It was a pretty pathetic performance from them. Obviously, the punter didn't look great on the punt return. Ryan Dinwiddie, quick to blame everybody but himself. But Ryan Dinwiddie is like the worst short yardage play caller in the league, and he has been for a few years. The interesting thing with that is, if you're a bad short yardage play caller and you still go for it on third down, it's actually better than going for it on a field goal. You saw it. There was a game last year when Toronto failed twice from first and goal, and both times they ended up turning it over, getting the ball back, scoring a touchdown. So the problem now is that he's kicking field goals. He's trading 3 points for 35 yards and basically guaranteeing to erase the field goal, or in the case of last week, just give a touchdown away and quit on the game, right? It's crazy because like this Ottawa offense is punt blocks, it's kick returns, it's interceptions. It's not Jake Mayer driving down the field, right? So I downgraded them again after that, even after their best performance of the season. But I just can't justify Edmonton laying this many points because I still think they're sort of like a above average, maybe average team. So there's nothing yet for me on this. If there is going to be anything, it's going to be Ottawa again. I just don't see any reason to be laying this many points, even at home for Edmonton.
Yeah, well, Bobby, you had it in you to do it last week. If you took them last week, it's kind of there for you this week too, and that's kind of how I felt. As I mentioned, look ahead 5.5, 6s were creeping there. We're seeing 1 or 2 spots with 6.5. So keep an eye out for it, guys. Terry, I'll keep it short and simple for me. Look, I was high on Edmonton to start the year, but I kind of said it last week. It was like, if you weren't there early on in Edmonton, I felt like people, you missed the party. I had BC last week. And now we're seeing Edmonton obviously playing a lesser foe, but they're still laying points. And I always say that, like, when you see people post these trends where it's like this team has this record when they're laying points, or when they're a dog, or even when we're doing NHL handicapping as a minus 150 or greater favorite, all these type of trends, right? At the end of the day, you and I both know that this Elks team, the last time this Elks team was favored by 6.5 points, the Oilers won the Stanley Cup. This team hasn't been favored by close to a touchdown in years. So at this point, if we're betting numbers, not teams, I know they're at home here, but I'm tempted by it. Total's 58.5 now, Terry. The adjustments have been made. What do you think? For me, it'd be Redblacks or pass. I'm kind of looking at the total as well and some props, but what do you think?
Well, I come on the show last week and I say, this is a new Edmonton team. They're not the same Edmonton team. I give them praise for what I saw. And then they come out last week and they're exactly the Edmonton team we've seen the last 6 years. A complete shit show. They only lost by 12 points, but they were helped. Edmonton was helped by the referees at points in last week's game. BC should have actually won that by 20 plus, or at least around the 20 mark. Come on, Edmonton. I give you guys prop and I say you changed, and then you come out and show that you have not changed one bit. So not going to overreact to one game, but if you think I'm going to lay 6.5 with the Edmonton Elks, you've completely lost your mind. You completely lost your mind. And looking at this Ottawa team, okay, week 1, obviously they lose to this Elks team 29-21. Then their next game, they got destroyed by Toronto. But the last 2 weeks, the Ottawa Redblacks have played better. Now, that's not really saying a whole lot with how they played the first 2 weeks, but losing by 2 points to Montreal, I can understand why some people were kind of considering that a win. And then last week, losing by 5 to Saskatchewan, the defending champs. Again, I don't think that's an awful loss. And now they're 6.5 against Edmonton. If I'm getting to the side here, it's Ottawa plus the points. If I'm looking at the total, this is a game where I kind of lean under. And why? Because I think this is going to be a big game on the ground for both teams. And Greg Bell, this could finally be his opportunity to have a strong game like we saw in Hamilton last year. 29, 40, and 45 rush yards in his first 3 games. But the Elks have now allowed the second most rush yards against in the league, other than Winnipeg. So I think we're going to see Greg Bell have some success here. And Edmonton, come on now. I gave you guys props, and that's what – then you come out and you play like that.
Hey, I tried to warn you, Terry. I tried to warn you. It was like just when everybody thought they might have changed. This team, they're still the Edmonton Elks. They're still the Edmonton Elks. So we'll see what happens with these guys. But back in the day, I used to call a game like this the toilet bowl game. But I guess the Elks don't really deserve this label yet because their record says they're pretty good. So we'll see what happens here with this one. We saw Ben Kramer talking about it. And of course, we know how great he is with his props. He was saying, Terry, for how much utilization a guy like Bell is getting, it's about time he starts, producing more. Like, if you're going to be utilized as much as you are, let's actually get some, production out of this guy. So maybe this is the week to look at it. Keep an eye out on that, guys. And yeah, I think it'll be the dog for me. I'm curious to see, like, again, for the record, for everybody out there, like, everybody's hopping on. It's a big deal, guys, when non-CFL fans or bettors, like I was on Wagertalk today, and Dan and Andy are like, holy shit, like, isn't every game going over? And like, I'm not saying contrarian's always the way to go here, but you know what happens, guys. You know what happens. It's only week 6 now. It's the unders are gonna come, but I will say there's only been a few unders, and I did lose on 1 or 2 of them. So maybe we'll see if we can finally hit an under. Bobby, Argos, Blue Bombers here. We saw 2.5. We saw, now a pick pretty much 63.5 live total here. So look, we used to think a 53.5, 54.5 was a high CFL total. 56 isn't a, look, 63.5. I know you're not a totals guy here, but break down this one for us and let us know your thoughts.
Yeah, these totals they are pretty crazy. I remember a few years ago, these games would open first few weeks 48, 49 and start creeping up. So now it's standard 60. And even in some games, depends on who you think is going to start here in Winnipeg. But how is this game, or better yet, how is this Saskatchewan game with Trey Ford going to get to like 58, 59? But you mentioned the look ahead for this one was close to a pick. And now we're up to 2.5. Like, it was a pick with juice for Winnipeg, basically a 3-point decline from Zach Collaros, who you could probably say at best is performed like an average quarterback in the CFL. Like, 2023 was a long time ago. More likely, you could argue he's been the 8th best quarterback in the league. So I don't know how you're dropping 3 points unless it's Tyler Algersma. Sure, but there's a good possibility that Drew Brown is going to be starting here, and that's definitely not a 3-point drop here. So there's a question going in here: who is Mike O'Shea going to start? And for years, he was adamant on starting Chris Streveler, like no matter what. And it's because he's a very loyal guy. There's people in Winnipeg who cover the Bombers, know a lot more than me about the Bombers that can attest to that. But the question here is he loyal to Taylor Elgersma? I don't know. Elgersma. You hear enough from Justin Dunk. Is he loyal to him for being like a day one training camp quarterback, stuck with the team all season? Or is he loyal to Drew Brown, who just came in, but he was the former backup in years for Winnipeg? He just played his last 2 years under Tommy Condell, who is the OC in Winnipeg now. And he's the happiest person I've ever heard to be back in Winnipeg. So it's a question on who he's going to start here. Drew Brown went through practice last week, didn't dress for this game. I would lean Drew Brown, but there's also a third possibility that Collaros doesn't even miss this game. And if he doesn't miss this game, I don't see a reason to downgrade at all. So as long as it's not Taylor Elgersma starting, Tyler Elgersma, I'll get it figured out next week. Winnipeg shouldn't be getting any points. They should be laying points with either Drew Brown or Zach Collaros. So this is basically a free roll against an Argos team that laid an egg on their 4th road game, now coming into road game number 5, probably down another O lineman. And you could have Zach Collaros or Drew Brown in your pocket with points. Worst case, you got Tyler Elgersma, I think it is, in a game where I think it should still be close to a pick, even with him. So I think this is just a free roll on Winnipeg, and you'll see probably pretty soon once the reports come out who's going to be taking first team reps in Winnipeg.
Somebody get Bobby a game sheet with some first and last names. Oh my goodness! Here,
They don't answer me. CFL doesn't answer me.
Let's get a middle name there for him too. Get the full names. Well, I was listening to the 3 Down podcast earlier today. Shout out to those guys. They do great work. And they were talking about, hey, Drew Brown, he gets brought over. He knows the OC. They don't even have the guy suited up, ready to, throw a couple easy balls. And you give the U Sports guy an opportunity, which is great, but it didn't look very great. And that's kind of our question. It's kind of like breaking things down. Like, guys, we're talking about a 14-13 ball game here. Like we've seen totals here. Like the first game of the week in the CFL finished 58-36. The last game of the week finished 14-13. When I say there's a drop off from QB1s to QB2s, I can't be exaggerating any more than that by looking at a score in 1 week. One game, 58-36, the other one being 14-13. I can't exaggerate any more than that because that's the evidence right there in the bag for us. But, Bobby's saying, hey, look, Toronto's already overachieving. They did just lose now last week. Maybe the road trip stuff's catching up to them. It's just one of those things for me where Zach already hasn't been playing well, and I was probably going to lose my passing prop regardless of him getting injured or not. Toronto, how do you feel about this team? Like, Terry, I'm on that wave where it's like, hey, guys, I know nobody wants to hear me say this, but I might just put myself through the torture chamber and just take unders all week, especially one like this. This could be one where you think, let's just look for simple offenses, because I would love to know, and I just followed an account on X, the CFL stats, that you guys probably know who I'm talking about. I want to know the percentage for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers quarterbacks, obviously just Zach so far, on passes greater than 25 yards, Terry, because it hasn't been very good. So I'm going to probably lean under in this one here, guys. Potentially the first half under as well. What do you think in this one, Terry?
Yeah, so of the 4 games this week, this is the one that I have the least amount of opinion on. I think this is an incredibly difficult cap, especially not knowing at this point who the quarterback's going to be for Winnipeg. I'm seeing Drew Brown odds up. So for his passing yards and passing TDs. So, and I would expect it to be Drew Brown. If I was coach, assuming Collaros isn't healthy to go, but even if he is healthy, he hasn't looked, like Bobby said, if I'm ranking quarterbacks, Collaros is 7th or 8th this year. He's not, or not even close to 9. Well, not 9, but 7 or 8.
Come on.
I won't go to 9. I won't go to 9, but I'll give him a little bit. But he's not looked himself in previous years, and now dealing with some kind of injury. I don't know what to do with this game. I really don't have much thoughts, but I will tell you one thing: if Claros is out, if he has a concussion and he is out for multiple weeks, I don't know if Winnipeg plays Ottawa at all in the near future. Oh, next week. Perfect. I will have some plays there for Drew Brown next week. That's for sure. If he starts, I hope he starts next week because he'll have a good game.
Like, geez, if they don't win this one for Bobby, they better win next week. Bobby, I ask you this every week, and I talk about this on the show, but just give me a short answer. How much do you care about home field for this one? I mean, for Winnipeg at this point, I'm getting exhausted asking this question about some of these teams, but how much does it mean to you that Winnipeg's at home here?
I don't even know if this is technically a home game for Winnipeg. I think this is one of those Toronto home games they took, but Winnipeg's still best in the league. I used to give 3 points. It's not as much anymore, but Winnipeg is still the best, with Montreal, Saskatchewan probably close behind.
Yeah. Like, Terry, the reason why I'm asking is just because, this is a Winnipeg team that I had high up there with Saskatchewan and Montreal, probably. Shout out to Ian Cameron. And you too, you're a Hamiltonian. You're in that area. The Hamilton Tigercats, they're there. Shout out to the Redblacks, my least favorite home field of the league. They could play on Mars and they would it'd be the exact same game for them. But look, I just think that this Winnipeg team, whether whoever's behind center, they're going to want to be simplistic, and this total to me is worth taking the under on, and there hasn't been as much of an adjustment with that one there. I'm curious though what happens, because at the end of the day, like, Toronto's defense has been leaky, but they've been able to put up points. That's the only thing. Like, if their offense stays on the field and they get a lead, even I worry about Winnipeg. So hey, look, Bobby, if you could take Ottawa last week, hats off to you for taking Winnipeg this week as well. You're swimming in the deep end, that's for sure. Guys, if you have been enjoying the videos, we're about to get into that time of the year. MLB All-Star break is here. World Cup is going to be over. I know you guys have all become soccer fans for the last 30 days, but CFL time. Look, check us out every single week here, Wagertalk TV. Let's get us up to 250 likes. If we get to 250 likes, Terry and I will do a giveaway for you guys for a 3-day pass. So hit the like button, comment, let us know a pick that you like, and we'll try and do a giveaway for you guys. So we need to get up to 250 likes on this video. If you're enjoying the CFL, we hope you're appreciating our show. And make sure you follow Bobby on X at Mr. Surrey Jack. He tweets everything out. Terry, of course, TE Picks, myself, McInnis Picks. I got a 5% play going this weekend. Did not have one last weekend. It was more of a quiet week for me, 2-1 though. Promo code CFL10, guys. CFL10 takes $10 off the 5% play. And let's try and keep those going. Having a pretty good year with the best bets. All right, Terry, Stamps and Owls, 3.5 home favorites for the Montreal Alouettes, totaled in the early 60s in this one here. What do you have?
Yeah, this is, I think, going to be the best game of the week to watch. So, of course, if you're watching CFL games, I think this is going to be the one to watch. We've got two really strong offenses here. The number one offense in the league, Calgary, scoring 41 points per game. Montreal, number 3, 33.3 points per game. And then you've got Calgary giving up the second most points against. Only Toronto has given up more through the first 5 weeks of the season. So Calgary has been an over team so far. 62.5 is a little bit high. Obviously, that's a pretty high number. But looking at last week, I said that the one total was high for a reason. And of course, it went over that total. Again, I think this one is high for a reason. As long as both quarterbacks stay healthy, I think this game does go over the total here in this one. But it might be close. It might be a little bit of a sweat. When I'm looking at the side, I think there's value with Calgary plus 3.5. I think they're able to keep this game close. Do think Montreal probably gets the win when it's all said and done, but I think this is going to be a close back and forth thriller. And I'm going to be on Philpott props. Which one? Both. It's the Philpott Bowl here between Jalen and Tyson. Jalen Philpott, I'm seeing his receiving yards prop at 61.5. I like his touchdown better. There's value with his touchdown, I think at +1 something. Tyson Philpott, there's no value with his touchdown prop. I think it's, hold on one second. Tyson is -160, so there's no value with him. But Jalen's +145. Back-to-back games with the touchdown. I think VA will look for him here. When it comes to Tyson, I'd look at his receiving yards prop over. I will be on it. I'm seeing 89.5, but he's easily cleared that in 3 of his 4 games this year. And then, of course, Calgary gives up a ton of rush yards against. So I think we're going to have both Philpotts putting on a show here in this game.
Yeah, both the Philpott brothers are fantastic. Stretch the field, make some big plays, and let's put it this way. Both their QBs look for them every chance they possibly can. That's for sure. So I'm going to segue to Bobby's with this. You know, the CFL is a zigzag type of league. You know, only 19. And I always joke about this with my write-ups. And honestly, was kind of pissed I didn't make BC a bigger play. But the reason why I'm bringing up BC, it's a zigzag thing. You back one team 1 week, you're fading them the next. Well, I sort of feel like that this week, Bobby, with Calgary, right? Like, I loved them last week. It was a money line. They blew the doors off their opponent, put up a 50 burger, and now I want to fade them. And in the CFL, you can have success, you know, pretty much using the people remember what they saw last mentality, and you can go against what people remember what they saw last. Here in Canada, as you know, people are still making their parlay cards at the corner stores. They're, oh my God, Calgary 50 points last week. You know, that's what they saw last. But I'm thinking to myself, okay, is this going to be tight? You know, and you look at the total as well. It's a high one, as I just mentioned with Terry. But, you know, for me, I kind of like being the one that says, okay, look, Calgary, thanks so much for what you did for me last week. But now it's time to go against you. I'm leaning on that side. And if there was a total, I would look for the over. It might be this one, but I love the props that Terry said as well. Like, and if you can look at some guys to catch the ball, I mean, those guys, sometimes you want to look towards the wide receiver 2 or wide receiver 3. But as Terry mentioned, the top dogs on this team just get the ball all the time. So there's no point in trying to be creative with it. Those guys do great. But what do you think about what I said there, Bobby, about the fact that sometimes if a team does good for you 1 week, it's, you know, it's fading them the next week?
Yeah, and we've done that a bunch already this season, especially with Edmonton. I just don't think that this line's adjusted enough for what people saw on that Calgary-Toronto game. Like, it was really impressive. I thought it was going to be, I thought it would be closer to, like, it's certainly at least under 3. So if anything, like, I think I would lean Calgary here still. Montreal's still banged up, even though they're off the bye. Apparently Stevie Scott didn't practice today. Both of their 6-game injuries are back, but not practicing. So there's still a lot of concern in Montreal. Obviously, I guess maybe it isn't obvious, but I think Montreal is a better team, but that's still a lot of points to be laying 3 and a hook here, I think is what it is. Few people got 4.5 on Calgary yesterday, which was good. Well, it popped up for a little bit, but yeah, if you want to go ahead and put some money on Montreal, just let me know, because I'll be going to the kiosk immediately after and grabbing whatever that number inflates to for the stamps.
All right, the gloves might be off at center ice, center field. Could be a head-to-head for us. We get that every few weeks, Bobby. We'll take it.
It could be 2 against 1.
Yeah, Terry,
I'm like Calgary too.
I know. I see. I was liking your props, and then I'm like, damn, he did say some good things about Calgary though too. So that's tough, guy. And I get it. I just feel like it's so fun to be that zag after a team zigs, and I'm hoping that's really the case here with Calgary putting up 50 in 1 week. So we'll see. And at the end of the day, like, let's not sit here and say Toronto's defense is the best defense in the world either. Like, they got lit the hell up by Calgary, and Montreal, I've been down on their defense a little bit. They lost a few guys, but this isn't the Toronto defense. This is Montreal's defense, and they're playing at home. So that's kind of why I think it's a little bit different, because hey, I always respect all of our commenters, but there was one guy last week that asked me what I was smoking for saying, can the real Argos please stand up? Well, you know what I was smoking? I was smoking on that Argos pack last week when Calgary put up 50. So, yeah, every week is a different week. That's for sure. Okay, Hamilton and Saskatchewan. This is the first injury reactive line, but in all seriousness, guys, 8.5. We saw 7.5, some 8.5s for the Roughriders at home. One of the teams that we have that home field advantage labeled as. We did see kind of some 54.5s. We did see 55.5s, but the opener was like 62 and a 63 as far as the look ahead is concerned here. So, Bobby, I saw you were active on socials about a minute before we press record here. Tell us what you think.
Okay, so this look ahead was 3 with juice probably for the Riders. Is that right?
Yep.
Okay.
Around that. Let's see.
So on that, with Bo Levi Mitchell at quarterback, I would have taken that all day, right? Like, I would have taken Ticats all day. I honestly think the Ticats with Bo Levi are the better team. Now you've got Bo Levi out. You've got Scott Milanovich, head coach, saying one of these guys is going to start. Doesn't even mention them by name, and don't try and make sense of anything he's doing, because you can't. You can never understand what he does. This is the same Scott Milanovich that benched Bo Levi Mitchell for Taylor Powell in a season where Bo Levi was 3 voters away from winning the most outstanding player of the season. The year before, the playoffs before, he wasn't head coach, but he was part of the coaching staff that benched Bo Levi Mitchell for Matthew Schiltz in a playoff game. Maybe they were saying they were doing a trade-off strategy, a 2-quarterback strategy, which always seems to work. Now I've made a ton of money betting against Trey Ford being a top 10 quarterback in this league, but Mitchell to Ford, is that a 3.5 point drop to 7? Probably. Mitchell to Jake Dolegala, is that move the line even more, move it to maybe 8.5? Probably. But I think from the start, this line was off. I don't think it should have been the look ahead at 3.5. I don't think any team that barely beat the Ottawa Redblacks, the worst team in recent memory that doesn't have Taylor Cornelius as their starting quarterback, they shouldn't be laying 8.5 to anybody. They can't get separation on anybody. And this team, the Riders, has had some hilarious losses over the past few years in situations just like this. The Riders fans can attest to it. They'll say, only the Riders could lose to teams like this. I'm sprinkling a little bit on the Ticats, but if it's 8.5, I don't care who's at quarterback. Jake Dolegala, Trey Ford. Maybe they'll make a last minute ditch trade for Dustin Crum or somebody like that. So 8.5. I'm on the Ticats. This is your zag. This is your chance to pull off the zigzag maneuver with the Hamilton Ticats with, at best, Trey Ford at starting quarterback.
Well, I just heard the CFL trade frenzy. Da-na-na. Terry Edelmann has been announced the quarterback this week for Hamilton. Congratulations,
Give me the
8.5. You're competing. You're getting 8.5 points. Bobby doesn't care who the quarterback is. Definition of betting numbers, not teams. He doesn't care who the quarterback is. It's just getting the great number. And that's what we ask ourselves. And one thing I will say that I've been on record saying is that Saskatchewan beats teams. They don't humiliate teams. And I kind of have to say, I will go back and forth with backing or fading a team, but I need to be consistent with my MOs for certain teams. And I have been known to say that about the Roughriders. They're not a team that smacks teams around too much, but they're a team that knows how to win games. This could easily be, and it's not really a bold statement with how big the spread is, but this could be the, Riders win by, 6 points and don't cover the point spread. But at that same time, Terry, do you have it in you here? Because I know as much as you didn't like the Elks last year, you didn't like Trey Ford that much more.
Yeah, well, we were talking about this a little bit before the show. I'll try to keep it real short as we're trying to end the show soon. But last week I was on Roundtree rushing yards, facing the worst rush defense in the league. Bobby is 100% right about Scott Milanovich. You're facing the worst rushing defense in the league by far, and your starting quarterback, who's one of the best throwing quarterbacks in the league, goes down. And now you have to bring Trey Ford in. So what do? You decide to have Trey Ford throw every single time he comes out. Screw running the ball against the worst rush defense in the league. I'm going to use a quarterback that can't throw, that should be a running back, that should not be a quarterback in this league. I'm going to make him throw the ball every single time he comes up on the field. I lost a bet, but head coaching, Scott Milanovich, how do you do that? So how do I have any faith in him going to come out here and do anything differently this week? That being said, I'm not interested in a side here. For me, there's two props that I really like in this game. They're both on the same player. If you watch Saskatchewan last week, you'll know Trevor Harris had a rough week. A lot of the receivers for Saskatchewan had a rough week. However, one did not, and that's Keyshawn Johnson. I'm taking both his touchdown prop and receiving prop here in this game. Receiving yard, I'm seeing it around 78.5 here in this one. Hamilton obviously won't have Bo Levi Mitchell at quarterback, but they have no answer to the defense at stopping teams from passing against them. I think Trevor Harris is going to have a better game this week, but I also think we're going to see Keyshawn Johnson have a big game. Touchdown and receiving yards over.
Good player prop game, Terry. And I think, who knows what's going to happen at the quarterback position, but it could be a good. And one thing I said earlier today on a show as well was like, hey, look, this could be one of those games where if you don't have Bo Levi Mitchell, a lot of times when I'm doing my NFL prop show with Andy Lang, we talk about, is this guy a receiving yards guy or is this guy a receptions guy? And I remember the days for me with like Zach Wilson of the Jets or even Mac Jones. It was always pass completion props with these guys. It was never passing yard props with those guys. And so, I challenge this Hamilton team to throw the ball farther than 11 yards in this week, and advance the ball, move it downfield. We'll see if that happens. But I think that we will see some confidence-based throws. So that could be really good for prop betting. Look forward to diving more into the props. But guys, make sure you're following Terry's props, of course, over at Picks and Parlays, but doing sides, of course, as well. It's just a weird one here, guys, but I'll tell you, this is one of those ones where I think you could probably get a better number on Hamilton. Like, this is going to be one of those ones where your knock, is the back door open, because this is going to be a Saskatchewan comes out blazing. Hamilton looks bad early on. And then we ask ourselves, like, is this how bad they're going to be? And then all of a sudden, like, Bobby, I got to ask you this. Like, when you were watching that Redblacks game last week, even though you were covering for a lot of the game, did it kind of feel like you weren't? Like, when I watched that game, I was like, all right, the Redblacks are covering, but how are they doing this? Because, like, they still didn't even look great for me, but that's just like the definition of us, playing the point spread is, it's not about them winning. It's just about them hanging around, right? And I'm sure that's how you feel about this game here, is now I'm looking at my odds logic screen, and most books now actually have 8.5 for the Ticats.
Yeah, that's the Redblacks stayed in that game with an interception and I think a block punt or something like that. But they did give it right back to them at the end. So it kind of all evened out. Game ended probably about where it should have. And I might be back on the Redblacks. I actually want to see who's start taking first team reps in practice, because McLeod Bethel Thompson has been there for a few weeks now, and you never know when Ryan Dinwiddie's gonna go to McLeod Bethel Thompson, who people have said, hey, he won 2 Grey Cups. Well, he won one as a backup, and he won another one by getting injured, and Chad Kelly came in and came back for the Argos in that game. So, but that's the only thing keeping me off. I think the Redblacks right now is the possibility that Jake Mayer might not be the starting quarterback this weekend.
If you know what I'm looking at, if that's the case, MBT passing yards under, and I'll probably be on Trey Ford passing yards under as well. Trey Ford, I have circled now under passing yards. Even if he is going to throw the ball every time he comes up, good luck reaching 280 passing yards. So, and yeah, if MBT somehow starts, give me his under passing yards all day long, all day long. Even if he's going to throw the ball all day long, he's washed up. We saw that last year.
I wish there was a bet to make on the over on sacks because unfortunately you can't do that with the CFL props. But that is a statue in the pocket. This guy, he's wearing cinder blocks for shoes. This guy. If we thought Zach Caleros can't move out of the pocket, wait till we see MBT back behind the pocket. But there, guys, look again. CFL 10 is the promo code. I believe 13-7 is the record now on the season, plus 16.5 units, something around there. So yeah, 2-1. Unfortunately, it was a 3% loss on Zach Caleros passing, but we did hit BC and Calgary last week. So we keep it rolling. Let's try and get up to that 20 unit mark. We're just moving along, chugging along, and the 5% play is there. So guys, if you like the video, get us to 250, comment below for a chance to win a free 3-day all access pass from myself or Terry. Make sure you guys comment below. Check it out. Use the promo code CFL10 for $10 off my 5% play this week. Again, get all of Terry's plays, picks and parlays, MLB, CFL, everything he has to offer. Make sure you check Bobby out, Mr. Surrey Jack on X. And that will do it for this week's edition. Unless you guys have anything else to add, we'll wrap things up here on the show. Thanks for watching. We'll see you guys next time.